to see you here, and I'm glad to assume you're there at home. Tonight we are introducing officially the arts integration plan for the school. The whole county actually is doing this arts integration thing, and it's a wonderful, wonderful mindset of education, and I figured we would bring it in to you to share. But instead of me talking, I decided to invite the Arts Integration Committee from the county, and all three of them are here to present to us. So I'm going to introduce Amy Rosenkrantz, John Shishini, and Marla Castillo.
Good evening, everyone. I'm John Shishini. I'm a former principal here in the county. For 10 years, I was principal at Rockledge, which was an illegitimate arts integration school. And by that I mean our teachers and I decided that teaching in and through the arts was the way to go. I did that for 10 years, moved on to Montgomery County, opened an arts integration school there, and then went to Anne Arundel County and did arts integration. And I have no arts background. So why am I promoting arts integration? Because I know that this is a way that kids learn, that get excited about learning, and are successful. So what we're going to do, first of all, is tell you a little bit about what is arts integration. Then we're going to tell you why arts integration, and then we're going to get you into an activity for you yourself to see how arts integration operates. So, this was a video, and it'll tell you a little bit about arts integration in the county.
Please have mercy, yet you are so smart, acting at the brains that God gave me. So with that said, please do not shake me again.
With puppets on their hands and drama in their voices, the students at Capitol Heights Elementary recently told the tale of the man whose trade was tricks. And if it seemed a highly creative way to learn, it was. Like 65 other Prince George's County public schools from pre-K through 12, Capitol Heights has embraced arts integration, a program whose inventive tricks are its trademark. Infusing the arts into subjects from science and math, to English, to physical education, arts integration enlivens academics in uniquely memorable ways, like child actors bringing a Whitler map to life, and students singing about economics, a dismal science that in arts integration is dismal no more.
Let's talk about producers and consumers. A person who grows is a producer.
Today they're writing songs about economics. That's our current unit in social studies right now. Needs and wants, producers and consumers. So we're exploring the musical arts integration. In the past we've done a lot of visual arts and digital arts. So this is their first time doing music, but they're definitely drawn to it, especially that they've gotten to choose their genre.
If I wanted to, I can use this and change it to make it a different beat. So when it comes back up here, you'll hear it like a different beat.
Oh, I heard that bell.
Carefully fine-tuning its curriculum over the past 3 years, the teachers and principals that have been with the pilot program since its inception, and Dr. Maxwell, who championed it, are now passionate about arts integration's benefits and potential.
Arts integration is a relatively new thing for us, and it's kind of taken us by storm.
Kids that are actively engaged and kids who gain an appreciation for the arts and who learn in classroom environments that are centered around them being engaged in the learning, not recipients of learning, but co-producers of knowledge, if you will. There's no question in my mind that the students will do better in environments like that than more sterile or less interesting environments.
We shouldn't expect kids to operate in a world in black and white. Their lives are colorful. They're living in a world of more technology. They're in a world where things are so rapidly advanced to them. So they should be equipped to be able to be in an environment where things are hands-on, where they can speak, where they can move, where they can decide how they want to show what they know. And that's what we do here at Capitol Heights. We want our kids to own what they are learning by being a part of that process every day.
And if the success of the program can be measured in rising test scores, which it has been, so too can it be gauged by the excitement of the students.
So it's this folktale story. It's called The Bear Prince, and it's about like how Prince and them we were using Pablo Picasso and how he liked to do cubism. So we were using cubism to recreate a scene from the story.
That the arts integration lessons are clever and challenging and fun is undeniable, as the painted hands in a playful mathematics lesson demonstrated all too messily.
I've never been a fan of absolutely silent classrooms where kids are doing things. I've always thought that part of how I look at classrooms when I come in is, are kids engaged? Are they doing things? And if they are, there has to be noise.
There is plenty of noise today about arts integration. As the only public school system with its own arts integration office, Prince George's is pioneering a program that students agree is a smart way to learn.
The king who I'm playing is going to be much wiser and smarter and trickier than he was in the book.
It's going to be smarter and wiser, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that just gives you a little overview of the program. Currently, the program is in 73 schools, and this is the first year that it's in all our immersion schools. Prior to that, though, last year, we began the program here because of Mr. Uomo wanting to do it. In fact, I knew him from the central office. I came over last year and said, would you be willing to be one of our pilots? And he was very excited about taking this on. So thank you, Mr. Uomo, for being part of this. We're excited. We're going to tell you now a little bit about what is arts integration, and then we'll tell you about why we do it. So this is the Kennedy Center's definition of arts integration. They're one of our partners that we work very closely with. And it says, approach to teaching in which students construct and demonstrate understanding through an art form. Students engage in a creative process which connects art form and another subject and meets evolving objectives in both. What are the verbs in this? What verbs do you see?
Engage.
Engage, okay? Isn't that something we want to do? Get our kids engaged? What else?
Construct.
Construct. Have them. They own their learning. They construct their own meaning. What else? What's that? Demonstrate. So they're able to demonstrate what they have learned. That is the process we want them to do. And the creative process is important. You know, in the old days, well, real old days for me, but what we used to do when we taught, we used to have to teach content, okay? You had to really learn all the content. Now, a lot of content you can go on Google, right? But in order to have the creative process, to be able to think, to do problem solving, creative thinking, prepare yourself for skills that we don't even know exist yet, we need to give those students those skills. And that's one of the purposes of arts integration. As again I said, we're in 73 schools now, and every immersion school now is part of the program. We started this 4 years ago with 15 schools, and now, as I said, we're up to 73. We said before, can increase engagement and attention span, and all the schools that use arts integration We're happening at all grade levels. Now, I do need to say this. It's not that you become an arts integration school and then all of a sudden, every classroom, every teacher, everywhere does arts integration. It's a process. We do a lot of training. We bring in our partners, as I said, the Kennedy Center, the Prince George's Arts Council, Young Audiences in Maryland, and our office comes in and trains and works with the community and our schools to make this happen. So it is a process. We are engaging in it here, and we're very excited about that. And now Amy is going to tell you a little bit about why we do arts integration.
So why is art important? Why is art important? Why do you want your child to take music lessons or participate in a play?
Stimulates their brain in different ways.
Yeah, it stimulates their brain in different ways. What else?
It can build community.
Definitely building community. So as we talk about learning through the arts, and we're going to give you this PowerPoint slides so that you can go in it. There's a lot of research that shows when you use arts in the classroom, when you teach arts and when you use arts to teach other content, that students do better, that their achievement is better and is higher. And you also see, as we mentioned before, and John mentioned it, as we're moving through the 21st century, we don't know what students are going to be able to do. But the important thing for students is to be creative. Because if they can be creative and figure things out, they will be much more successful people. And probably something that we need to be thinking about a lot these days is the very last one there. When students participate in art, it promotes tolerance and empathy for other people. So we really use the arts and teaching and using arts integrated methods to do that. For schools and for the school district as a whole, we see in our arts integration schools that our students are achieving at higher levels. We see that students are attending school more. You want me to talk louder?
Yes.
Okay. We see that students are attending school. We're seeing that office referrals are even lower. So as students become engaged, they want to be in school, they learn more, and they learn in a more joyful type of way. And it also strengthens the community. When we talk about tolerance and empathy, we see students becoming much more of a community amongst themselves and in the school. So arts integration is a wonderful way for students to become those 21st century creative learners. A benefit of being an arts integration school, and we first need to recognize that every one of our arts integration schools has an arts integration lead teacher. And Ms. Wise is the arts integration lead teacher for your school. And she attends our quarterly meetings, which involve professional development for the teachers, as well as learning about the community partners. So John mentioned the Kennedy Center. We also work with Young Audiences. We work with lots of different partners, and we provide those partnerships and ability to partner to you as an Arts Integration Network school. Also, your school has taken advantage of a wonderful professional development opportunity for their teachers called the Crayola Create Ed leadership program that is a part of being in our network. And we allow and work with all of our schools to network together to learn from one another the best practices of arts integration. So as John mentioned, all of the immersion schools are now arts integration schools, so we're working to allow them to partner together, because being an immersion school is different from being other types of schools. So if they work together and learn how to do arts integration, it becomes much more successful. One of the things that we do within, and I think we're going to need lights down again, when we work with our students is we teach them thinking skills. Thinking is super critical in all different ways, and when we talk about artful thinking, we allow them to use pieces of art to engage in deep thinking. And Marlo is going to be leading you through an activity on artful thinking.
Yes, so we've been talking a lot about engaging and interacting. So instead of just talking about engaging and interacting, we're going to go ahead and get into it, engage and interact. So I'd like to lead you through an artful thinking routine. Artful thinking is a project that came out of Harvard University's Project Zero, based on 21st century skills, which are some of the things that we've been talking about in terms of creativity, collaboration, and such. So, as we go through this activity, it is going to be interactive, so those of you who are in the room who are sitting by yourselves, please carefully, since it's dark, find a place where you will be able to talk to someone else, at least one other person. And those of you who are attending from home, you can interact with us by typing in your comments and your responses to our discussion that we're going to go through today. So, I'd like to start off giving you a chance to view the print that's on the screen. Please take about 30 seconds to just let your eyes wander over this print. Now, we are going to imagine artists, just like authors of literature, are storytellers. We are going to imagine that this moment is part of a story. So let's start off thinking about the moment, the image that you see on the screen here, as the beginning of a story. If this moment were the beginning of a story, what do you think might happen next? Go ahead and take about 30 seconds just to think about that yourself. And then turn to a neighbor or neighbors, or share with us from home what you think might happen next if this were the beginning of a story. Go ahead and share your ideas with someone nearby. It should be noisy. All right, can anybody share out your ideas, what you think might happen next if this were the beginning of the story? Who would like to share an idea that you or your partner or someone near you came up with? Yeah.
I looked at this and saw the one girl looks shy and the other one looks like she doesn't mind. I'm thinking of it being painted. And I'm thinking the shy girl will turn to the girl who's leading and talk to her and say, try to comfort herself or say, why is this person painting a picture?
Okay, so one of these characters is having some empathy for the others and wants to engage them in a conversation. You think that they will turn and talk to the one who's looking away right now. Any other thoughts? Any other thoughts or ideas about if this were a story, what might happen, the beginning of a story, what might happen next? Are there any responses from home? No. Yeah.
Well, our group was thinking that in the picture, the set, maybe one and the other, but there is something, maybe a traumatic experience that may just occur. So, you would give your sister or your friend a hug.
So something sad has happened, something traumatic might have happened, and they're going to give each other a hug to comfort each other. Okay. All right, let's shift our thinking a little bit, and still seeing this as a story, but thinking about this moment as the middle of the story. If this were the middle of the story, what would have occurred before and what is going to happen after. What do you think might have just occurred, and what do you think will happen next, if this is the middle of the story? Go ahead and take about a minute to discuss that with your neighbors. All right, let's get one idea of what might have happened before and what will happen next if it's for the middle of the story. Heard a lot of ideas coming from this side of the room.
I mean, I
What else?
said that
Yeah.
I thought that their parents had just told them they couldn't watch any more TV.
Okay.
And they're very upset, and after this, it'll take about 5 or 10 minutes, but they'll get over it and go play a board game or color.
All right, so they've just been told they can't watch any more TV. They're going to get over it, and they will go or play or color. All right, and in the interest of time, we're just going to move on, but we would go on to thinking of this moment as the end of the story. So as you can see, here is a way that students can be engaged in a literacy activity through a piece of artwork. We can be thinking about the sequence of a story and imagining and creating your own story from something that an artist has created. This, again, comes from the Project Zero Artful Thinking routines, and I have included the website where you can check out, there are a series of routines that were designed around different thinking practices, so you can take a look at those. And of course, this was Paul Gauguin's Tahitian Women from 1891. So this is just one example of how the arts can be used in the classroom to engage students in their content area, but in different ways, and get them thinking in creative and collaborative ways. Okay. Any thoughts or questions before we move on to the next item in your meeting today? Yeah.
Do you provide written materials for the classrooms? Because obviously those would be in English, and
We actually have the elements of the art translated into all the languages. So the
Yes.
elements are translated.
So we have, we've also included here our Arts Integration Google site, and there the elements of art that are provided for the teachers, yes, are translated in the different languages for the immersion schools.
And we're working closely with the immersion office to make sure other resources are as well. So one of the things that our office is able to offer to your school and to the Arts Integration Network schools is the opportunity to, we're able to offer the opportunity to engage with various partners, including teaching artists. So as we've been working with our teaching artists, we've been working with them to try to find French-speaking teaching artists so that the total immersion experience happens as a part of the art experience as well.
I'll take care of that one. Before I come over here, I'm going to go back over there for just a minute. One last thing that I do personally to ensure French, because I don't speak it yet, I will get there eventually. If I give out anything that's to be given to the students, I ensure that while I write it in English, I get it translated into French before it goes to the students. If it's to the staff, it might stay in English, but if it goes to the kids, I always try to ensure that it is translated. As for what is happening now at the school, we just recently did our very first Arts Integration Day, which was preceded by a few PDs that I've done with the school. And on that, right before that day, we had a staff meeting where we all planned arts integration lessons, how to take your regular curriculum and integrate the arts into it. Out of that, I saw a numerous amount of teachers doing their very first arts integration lessons, or their third, or their 10th. I know I personally integrate the arts in the band classroom. I just saw a phenomenal example from Mr. Mills in middle school. The English team is going nuts on it. They're amazing. I've seen a bunch in kindergarten. Basically across the grade levels, there's been at least one in the past year from each grade level, which is wonderful for where we are. We also have a team of about 10 teachers who are part of the Crayola created leadership experience. So us 10-ish teachers will take what we're learning in Crayola and then spread it. That was for we appreciate Mr. Iwano for allowing us to do that, because without him we couldn't have made that happen at all. I'm trying to think what other things we've done. We have a lot of little things going on that are growing slowly but surely, and it's wonderful. Any other questions?
So is the idea to have this integrated when it gets fully going, on a daily basis or once a week or once a month?
Yeah, that's a great question. One thing that we talk about with teachers is finding those natural connections. So the natural connections between what they're already teaching and the art form. So there are going to be some days where there's a perfect fit and that's going to happen. And there are going to be some days where there's not that perfect fit. So it's nothing that can be forced. It doesn't work out that way. So it really depends on when it fits best into the teacher's curriculum. So they make those choices. Anything else? We also have our we have our contact information.
Is there a way as parents for us to support this or help it go faster, more, better?
Absolutely. As always, we are a public school, and therefore money and supplies would be wonderful. I'm hoping to create an arts integration closet where we have model magic, crayons, markers, paper, whatever, that when a teacher wants to do an arts integration lesson, they can come to the closet and get specific arts supplies for that lesson. So we're not borrowing from Madame Macri all the time, which would be lovely. We would also love to find artists that are our parents who would love to come in and help. One of the biggest struggles for a teacher, especially general classroom teachers, is to step out of their comfort zones and allow the arts to be something that they welcome into their classroom, even if they're not fantastic at it. So if we have any artists in our parent groups, we would love to invite you to come in and offer whatever you can, as long as you're fingerprinted, of course. The easiest way to help in any way is to email me. I am Emily Wise, but my email is emily.chavelle. Instead of spelling that for you, I'll just tell you it's on the Dora Kennedy website, and you can email me at any time, and I can help you find a way to help, because any help is awesome. Ooh, a little birdie also just reminded me that we are trying to fund for more teacher residencies. We have one coming up in the spring, actually. I'm bringing in a steel drummer to help integrate steel drum into the classroom experiences, which is going to be crazy awesome. And I would love to bring in more. So another way of helping out is donating money towards teacher residencies. Artist teacher residencies. Yes?
Basic question, like what are the arts that are being supported in the program?
The arts that are in the arts integration program, music, visual arts, media arts, drama, dance. I feel like I'm forgetting one. That's it? I got them all.
And what's the difference between visual and media arts?
Long story short, it's the square rectangle thing. A lot of visual art can be media art, but not all media art can be visual art. It involves a lot more technology. My favorite example is light painting, where a photographer will take a picture with the shutter open for a longer time, and somebody dances with something lit up and it makes a painting based on their movement, all done with a glow stick and a free app on your cell phone.
And you learned that?
I learned that at PTA, the Summer Institute for Arts Integration that Prince George's County does, and I fell in love with it there. Anything else? Yes.
Artist who does a residency on it. I was suggesting the future, the existing future, definitely an art. I mean, everybody
Yes, please.
I agree.
That, the suggestion for those of you at home are, we should include the culinary arts. I agree. There was a comment back there?
So is there going to be continued training for our support for the teachers as they sort of try and integrate this and the cultural differences and changes that this could?
Absolutely.
Yeah, really our whole budget is centered around professional development.
Okay.
So that's really what we're trying to do, because people have to know what it is in order to put it in.
I also try to take whatever I learn at professional developments and bring them back to the staff via staff meetings or professional development days. So frequently, when it's a professional development day, I'm doing some talking. Anything else? Yes.
So I know you said it's not currently in all the classrooms and it's not going to be forced, but is it going to be a requirement to be an arts integration school that this is going to be in all of the classrooms where it fits? You know, it will be in all the classrooms at some point.
It is a process, so it is the goal, obviously, that it's in all the classrooms when there's a natural connection exists. But each school is moving at their own pace. As long as they're moving forward, we're getting more and more people engaged, then that is absolutely the goal.
One of the best ways to assist it happening in the classrooms is just a simple inquiry. Send an email to your child's teacher and say, hey, I heard about this arts integration thing. Have you done anything with it? Do you need assistance? And add me to that email if you want. I can also assist in that. Yes?
You had mentioned funding for the artists in residence. Is that a general PTA funding, or is that a specific channel to fund artists in residence?
When I have an answer to that question, I will let you know. I will definitely find one though.
But we help the schools write grants to bring in the Maryland State Arts Council, the Prince George's Arts Council. Actually, Greenbelt, right, has an arts grant. Many years ago, when I was a principal, we worked with Barbara Simon. I don't know if anybody remembers Barbara, but what a dynamo, and she really helped our school focus. So use the resources that you have, and we will also support.
The steel drummer we're bringing in is from a Maryland State Arts Council grant that I wrote last year. You're welcome. Any other questions, comments, concerns, issues? Anything from the internet? Okay. I think we're done then. If you have any questions, feel free to email me at any time.
Thank you so much. I'd like to thank John, Amy, and Marlo for coming to our school today. Thank you, Emily Wise, for, again, putting this together. I know that was several weeks in the making, so we truly appreciate that. We're going to transition next to Principal Awano, who will deliver the principal's report for you.
All right, bonsoir à tout le monde. Okay, so let me first start by saying Happy New Year to everybody. This is the first time that we see some of the faces this year. We hope that you had a wonderful break and you are happy to be back. So what's happening here at school? You know the weather outside, you know what it is. And when you come in the building, you can also tell what the weather is inside the building. So this is a great school. It is really the world in miniature. So it means that in one day you are going to have winter in the building, you are also going to have summer. Okay? So the advice is please have your student, your kid bring a jacket to school every day. They don't know when they are going to need it in the building. We are trying our best to make sure that all the classrooms are heated, but we know our building is, it has so many years, to put it lightly, so it is sometimes very difficult to make sure that the temperature is regulated all around the building. But our building service staff is working every single day. We are in communication at 5 a.m., 6 a.m., 6:30 to make sure how is the building, what is the temperature. But so far we are doing good. The first day after we came back from the break was a little rocky, but we are now a little bit more comfortable. Now, students are bringing jackets from home. We want them to take them back home. We want them to take them back home. We emptied the lost and found at the end of the last day of school in December. So I just picked in today. We are starting to get more jackets. I don't know. We try as much as possible to stop students at the door when they are going to get on the bus. If you don't have your jacket, we send you back to go get dressed. We don't want anybody to fall sick. But we still, we cannot catch everybody. We still have a couple coats over there. Make sure if you are missing a jacket, a coat, please have your student check the lost and found. The ideal is for it to be empty. On Friday, we are going to have the Code of Conduct Assembly. So every single year, we have to have a Code of Conduct Assembly at the beginning of the year and also midway through the year. So we have one coming up on Friday. The assemblies are for students. It's just a reminder of the school rules and the routines here in the building. So that will take place on Friday. We start in the morning and be done around 2 o'clock. We'll be done with everybody. At the end of this month, I shared some information with Madame Jenkins. We have someone coming from France to lead a professional development with teachers on how to use youth literature in teaching. So it is a great opportunity for us to have that person who is sent by the French embassy in Washington, and we don't have to pay a dime, so that's always good. The person would love to work with, to meet with parents also on that day. Madame Jenkins is going to send out communication to you and share and explain to you there's an attachment that will explain what is going to happen, what the meeting is about. If you are free on that day, please come and see the person so you can learn some tools that you can use at home to help your student. So that's important. On the 17th, we have the science project fair here at school. So Mr. Mills is working with Madame Jenkins to organize that. That's coming up. We are entering a very difficult season. This is January. January, if your student is in K through 2, we need your student to school every day because we are doing the KRA testing, the DRA testing, so we need to have them at school. And soon after, there are many other tests that are coming up, so the more we have the students here, the better it is. We don't have an attendance issue. I just need to inform you that we are entering the testing season. Another thing that I need to share with you is some great news. we just received the PSAT 8 and 9 data. The PSAT that the student took in the fall. And once more, our school did great. They did wonderful. I met with the leadership team today. We went over the data. We are going to share that information with all the parents, with the PTA. We are waiting for the staff meeting next week so we can share it with the staff, and then we are going to roll it out to everybody. But know that we did great. We beat the state, we beat the district, we beat many other schools, so both in math and also in reading and writing. So that is wonderful. And I always, when I talk to colleagues or people who do not know this school, I tell them, we are a French immersion school. But guess what? Our students take their tests in English, and they beat everybody. So, and that is great. That's great because we teach our students how to learn, really. Being engaged in a French immersion, in a French learning, in a language learning experience allows the students to develop those habits that are going to enable them to be successful in any situation that they find themselves. And we have a wonderful English department also to support the instruction of the English instruction. That's great. We thank Madame Williams and all the team in English Language Arts. So those are the little bits that I wanted to share with you tonight. I don't know if you have any questions. I hear no questions. Yes.
A question from some of the kids in the elementary school is, if birthdays are read out for the kids who have their, I had to ask this, birthdays are read out for the children who have their birthdays during the school year, is it possible for the kids who have summer birthdays, for those also to be announced toward the end of the year? Because they miss out.
That is very possible. What we did actually with the break in December was to wish happy birthday to those students before the break. So it is possible that in May, June, we are starting to add some days in the, let's say some weeks in the summer, so we can wish everybody happy birthday.
Thanks.
Could it be their half birthday, like on their half birthday? Maybe?
I wasn't given that question. I don't know.
Could be.
We will try as much as possible to call everybody's name.
Thank you.
Yes, so. Any other questions? All right. Merci beaucoup.
All right, thank you, everyone. Okay, next up, for our legislative update, we're really excited to have Laura Ramelsberg here with us. You see her speak fairly regularly at PTA meetings, and she does the tough job of keeping up with everything that the board is doing. She brings really great information back to us, and so it's a job that she does. Thank you.
Hello everyone, here and at home. I have a quick update. I want to thank the volunteers who have been in touch with me. We have quite a few this year, and that's a relief for me, knowing that I don't have to try to make every single school board meeting or other committee meeting this year. That being said, I'm still trying to organize the group and also figure out what our priorities are for this year, because we are going into the budget season now, and I think I would like us to have a couple of goals that the PTA in general would like us to pursue as we're lobbying our school board members and possibly our county council members as they go through and work through the budget for the next school year. With that being said, I'm trying to organize a meeting for this weekend. It's probably going to be a conference call. Someday we'll meet all in person. But at this point, I think it will be a conference call either Saturday or Sunday. I will post on the listserv when that will be and what the what the number to call in will be. But mainly I want to discuss our legislative committee priorities survey. I created a survey last year, which I had not sent around because I had it done too late in the budget process. But I would like to use this as a gauge for what we as a PTA community want to lobby for. And we'll run that by the PTA board once the legislative committee has agreed upon what questions should be asked in it. The other thing that we need to work on right now is school board and other legislative representative outreach. So we're just trying to figure out who's in what district, so we know that we're covered in terms of all of the school board members that feed into the school, because there are quite a few, and figure out what the best way of reaching out to them and doing some, I want to say public outreach for the school, but some positive lobbying for the school with them. And we're also going to the school board meetings. Michelle did some notes, which I will send out tonight from the last board meeting. The board meeting on January 4th was canceled due to weather, and interestingly, I checked the schedule today, and the one on the 18th is also canceled. Oh, budget work session, yeah, that's, yeah, that's on my list. But thank you for putting them up there. So those two board meetings, I'm not sure if they're going to make up the one that they had canceled or the two that they had canceled. I'm going to try calling them and figure out what's going on with that. But we have the board budget work session, operating budget public hearing on the 23rd and the 30th. And I think it will be important for somebody from the committee or even from the school community to go to those meetings to represent for us and possibly speak on behalf of the school or the language immersion programs in general. And then February 1st is the next scheduled board meeting at 1 p.m., which is not convenient for most people. But if there's a volunteer who can go during the day, I know I will not be able to make that meeting. You know, we would appreciate somebody being there to take notes and possibly comment on what was discussed at the budget hearings earlier in January. And there's some other committee meetings happening, which I can email out. And then if there are any coffee or meetups with school board members, I'm not sure if anybody here or on the legislative committee has connected with their school board member, but sometimes they'll have meet and greets. If we could keep an eye out for those in the next 2 months, because obviously they would be getting some feedback about the budget.
I know tomorrow there's a presentation on the Kerwin Commission at Eleanor Roosevelt High School with state legislator for county Paul Pinsky, I think, and who did great. So
Yeah, and I was going to mention that last.
The musical concert. We have middle school.
Oh, the middle school concert. Yeah, so that I was going to mention that last because that is an important thing. The Curing Commission meeting is tomorrow at Eleanor Roosevelt High School, and so if someone can make that, I know I can't, unfortunately, but it would be good to have somebody there taking notes because the commission impacts our school district significantly, and I don't really understand what happened with it, but I don't think they got what they wanted out of the last round of commission discussions. And I don't know if that means we're not getting as much money from the state. The other thing that I would like someone to look into, and I'll mention this to the legislative committee, is the casino funds. I had read an article in the Washington Post recently about those funds and how the governor is they're not being used to supplement the education budget. They're being used to say we have enough money to meet our current education budget. And I think that most people, when they voted the casinos into the county, didn't believe that was going to happen. They thought there was going to be this extra money, which is not the case. So there's some discussion about that going on right now, which is something we also should keep reading about and finding out some more information of. And I'll see if there's someone on the committee who can look into that for us and kind of follow that news. I think that's pretty much it. Oh, and there's no meetings for the immersion programs in general, because we're also getting together with the other immersion schools and discussing with them what our priorities as a group are. And there weren't any meetings in December or early January, so there's no update. So the update is mainly we have a lot of meetings coming up and we need coverage. So if anybody is willing to help, please get in touch with me. And again, I'll send out an email to the legislative committee and also on the listserv about our conference call that will take place this weekend. And are there any questions or comments from home or from home or from here? Yes, Jeremy?
That meeting tomorrow for the Tier 1 Commission is at 6:30 at Eleanor Roosevelt.
Yeah.
Oh, is it on there? Oh, you got it. No, it's right.
Is it on?
Yeah, right there, 6:30.
Oh, 6:30.
Eleanor Roosevelt, January 11th.
Yeah, so if someone can make that, that would be great. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Laura. As many of you know, Martaja and I are the Dora Kennedy French Immersion representatives to the Prince George's County Foreign Language Immersion Task Force. And the purpose of that task force is to look at some other language immersion models that take place in other jurisdictions, kind of compare and contrast to what we have already, and then make recommendations for secondary language immersion continuation, meaning 6th grade through 12th grade. So currently, our county has language immersion for French, Spanish, and Mandarin, Chinese. The French immersion is the only immersion program that continues all the way through 12th grade. So when students finish 8th grade here or at Maya Angelou French immersion, they have the option to continue at Central High School, where they can do French immersion continuation or French immersion combined with International Baccalaureate. And there's a whole program for that that goes from 9th through 12th grade. However, nothing like that exists for Spanish or for the Mandarin programs. So we have met in the fall. We did not meet in December. We usually meet at the end of the month, so with winter break, we didn't meet there. But we will meet again later this month and continue meeting until the spring. And then finally, at the conclusion of our meetings, we'll make a recommendation to CEO Maxwell about what the ideal model would look like to have language immersion in general continuing on the secondary program, 6th through 12th grade. One of the articles or discussion points that get sent around most recently is how having a stronger emphasis on math-related language students via word problems and things like that actually helps support their literacy skills. So a lot of times people might think that, okay, well, focus on the literacy to help get through the word problems, but not necessarily thinking about how focusing on the math will help with the overall reading. So that's pretty much all I have to report for that for right now. Event updates. The STEM Fair, which is an electronic STEM fair, open to students in grades 3 through 7, and there's a little more in, okay. If you are a parent of a student in K-1-2, you haven't experienced the STEM fair yet, but at this school, instead of having big foam poster boards and lots of glue and everything, it's an e-STEM fair. So everything is done via PowerPoint. So just like the types of topics that you would put on the big foam poster board, everything is done digitally. We get to save some trees, and then those projects are collected in the classroom, well, as a project, but for the students who have chosen to enter into the STEM fair to be judged, those e-STEM projects are shared with the judges virtually. Then on the actual STEM fair day, which this year is January 17th, most of the judges come into the building we've had in the past some judges that are long distance or can't physically be here for whatever reason, and they give their input. But the students who are entered into the fair have the opportunity to present their projects to the judges in the computer lab, on computers, answer questions. The judges are here all day long, and then afterward, they make their decision. At the February PTA meeting, like we had last year, we'll have the STEM awards based on who won first, second, third place, honorable mention, for what have you. And Mr. Mills will be here at that meeting to be able to present certificates to each of the students. And one of the things that we did last year that we'll do again this year is students who participated in the STEM fair and students who won places in the STEM fair will receive euros that they can spend in the Euro store when it's time for their class to go to Euro store. One of the things that we would really love to have help with is on the day of STEM fair, we provide breakfast, lunch, and snacks for the judges, since they're literally here all day long. So this is something that the PTA does. This year, I would love to have some volunteers to help with that. So if anyone who wants to join me on that day to help set up, clean up, or if there's anyone who would like to donate items to go toward what the PTA is providing, I'll have a sign-up link that I'll post to the PTA website and also send around on the listserv. So if you're free, I'd love to see you. Thank you. Les Étoiles Filantes is our literary magazine. For those of you who were able to see the copy last year when we did it in the spring, or I guess in June when it was published, we revived something that used to be a regular monthly publication back when we were in the old building. Back then it was one page double-sided, but we turned it into a full literary arts magazine with French, English, color artwork, and it was very nicely printed. And we were able to do that last year with an ACE grant that we were awarded from the city of Greenbelt. This year I'm working with Madame Bugabara again. We decided to have 2 issues this year. So we have a January issue. She and I are actually meeting tomorrow to go over the final issue, and we'll have that printed. And that money that will go toward the printing comes from our gift wrapping fundraising that we've done. So a lot of times people ask, oh, it's great you raise money, but what is it for? And I know we have this vague, oh, it goes towards everything. But here's an example of a specific project it's going toward that is outside of teacher wish list items, or providing teacher appreciation, things like that. But this is something that involves the whole school, that is engaging the students. And they have the opportunity to be published, which is really nice. So copies of that will get printed, and we will provide copies to every staff member and every student who is published in the literary journal. Additional copies can be purchased for $5, and that just goes to help cover the cost of printing the additional copies, because it can be a little expensive. And we will do another issue of Les Étoiles Filantes in June. We did apply for a grant for that to help with the printing again. So we'll find out in mid-February which of the 8 grants were approved for us and which may or may not have been approved. Any questions about Les Étoiles Filantes? Okay. Ice skating event. So Eleanor, who is our VP of middle school, and she does all our twittering and records our meetings for us and manages our YouTube channel. She also coordinates this ice skating event, which is a lot of fun. It's at the Herbert Wells Ice Skating Rink in College Park. It's during a public skate session. However, this is how it's a fundraiser for us. The ice rink issues us up to 200 tickets that we can sell in advance. And what we sell them for is the same price as admission, pretty much. But if we sell at least 100 tickets, we get to keep half, which is nice. And then they also allow us to take over the concessions. So during that skate, we bring everything that we want to sell and we keep all of the proceeds from the concessions. So last year that worked out really great. It was a fantastic event. It's something that alumni can come to. You can bring friends, family, anybody who likes to get out on the ice or hang out. Eleanor, I don't know if there's anything that you wanted to add. Okay. Oh, the time. Is it 2 to 4?
2:30 to 4:30.
2:30 to 4:30.
And we will need volunteers for food and for helping sell.
So one of the things that was really great last year is we had volunteers to help run the concession table. We made really short slots because we know you want to ice skate with your family or your kids. And we had different families donate all different types of baked goods, hot dogs, hot chocolate. We have ramen noodle cups. Kate last year made these amazing Eiffel Tower cookies. I bought a few and they were really delicious. So that's another event where we really love to have a lot of participation, either through coming out and skating with us or donating something that we can sell at the concessions. Any questions? Okay. Valentine's sales. Valentine's sales are really good to us from a fundraising standpoint. The PTA traditionally has sold lots and lots of candy in a really short amount of time. Last year, talking with the administration, we said, okay, well, how can we cut back on candy and add things that are not sugary for Valentine's Day? So we did that, and that was really popular. In addition to the little candy grams and candy bag things, we had things like teddy bears holding a rose and a lollipop, little gift bags with toys in them, and a variety of different options. So we plan to do this year really similarly to last year. You can purchase things for Valentine's sales online and have it sent to your children, delivered to them. We also did it with a paper form where you could fill it out at home and send it in and have things delivered. We also had lunchtime sales where we were set up at a table and kids could just line up and buy things either for themselves or to give other people. In the middle school, we find a whole lot of buying and giving to other people. But we do need a lot of hands with that. A lot. I mean, it takes a lot of time to assemble every single one of those little baggies or gift packs to deliver them to different kids in their classes at school. It requires a lot of running back and forth, people to help with lunchtime sales. So I will have a sign up online that I'll put through the listserv and also the website. And I please thank you in advance for helping with that. Any questions?
Do volunteers for that need to have a security clearance, or can that be?
If you're coming into the school to sell at lunchtime, then you have to have the fingerprinting background check done. However, there's a lot of this that doesn't happen during the school day. For example, helping to sort and take care of the orders, that can be done, we've done it in different parts of the building or even in the office in the conference room. Putting together the things at the beginning of February, late January, that kind of stuff doesn't have to take place right here when there are kids around. So we definitely need a lot of help with that. And that's something that someone can do if they don't have clearance.
I want to follow on that. For the ice skating, it's also fingerprinting is not required.
Oh yes, for the ice skating, helping with that, fingerprinting is not required at all. Because we won't be here, we'll be at the ice rink. Any other questions about any of the events so far? Okay. Oh, yes, before I forget, a couple of PTA admin type of announcements. Normally our meetings are the second Wednesday of the month. In February, the second Wednesday of the month is Valentine's Day. I don't want to be here, Many of you don't want to be here either, so we moved it. It's February 7th, which is the first Wednesday of the month. So just note your calendars that it's out of sequence. It'll be the first Wednesday of the month, February 7th, and then when we go back into March, we pick back up with being the second Wednesday of the month again. Next, not to think too much about the end of the year, but it's coming, we will need a nominating committee. The nominating committee is made of 3 people. They are responsible for running the PTA elections, collecting nominations, sharing that information with the PTA body, the PTA members. You have to be a paid member to be able to vote in the elections. If you want to be on the nominating committee, it automatically means that you can't run for a position. So if you're looking for a way to help your PTA that doesn't take a lot of your time and promises that you won't have to be on the executive board, this is a really great way to do it. You don't have to be fingerprinted for that. You can just show up and be organized and you'll be fine. The PTA elections take place in May of every year. So when we think about the nominating committee, we really think about March, April, May, a couple of months ahead of time. They can form, they can start to collect nominations or approach people who might be willing to be nominated. Anyone who wants to run for a position can nominate themselves to the nominating committee. Otherwise, the nominating committee really takes care of that. So think about it. You'll have a new PTA president next year. I've reached my term limit, so whoever that person will be, good luck to you in advance. But think about ways that you might be interested in helping. If not nominating committee, maybe for a board position, or maybe helping chair a committee or anything like that. Any questions about the nominating committee, the elections, or the processes that go into either one? Nope. Okay. Yes.
Laura's, I think it was Laura's, question about fingerprinting. I mean, you think about fingerprinting because I'm actually not fingerprinted, so I keep thinking, oh, I gotta get myself fingerprinted. So I just wanted to let everyone know that the county, or the PGCPS, runs fingerprinting workshops. And it looks to me like they're usually on Thursdays, and they maybe do like 2 a month. The next one is January 25th, and that's at a school near FedEx Field, and on February 8th, there's at a school in Bowie. So you can kind of just look on the calendar and see when there's someplace that's close to you, and it's a little bit more of an involved process now. I think you have to go get fingerprinted, and then you have to like stay for, they basically make you watch some videos based on all the stuff that has happened in the past with children and inappropriate touching and all that stuff. So you have to watch a video and you get fingerprinted, but then you're done. And you're done for, once you're fingerprinted, that is good for as long as your kids are in the school. So that's pretty awesome to do. And if you're not fingerprinted, it's really hard to come in and help in the school or go on field trips or to do that kind of stuff that is really fun to do with your kids. So just check that out.
Thank you. And I believe that is our last item. Okay. Any overall general questions before we adjourn? All right, I call the, oh yes.
Are all the committees going to meet soon?
Are all the committees going to meet soon? That's a fantastic question. It's been a special adventure with these committees. Some of them are, they kind of had the ball rolling already. So for example, the legislative committee, that one definitely has a chair, and Laura plans to meet with that committee. For the other committees, we have not had volunteers of someone who wants to chair them. So what we decided to do was kind of divide them up amongst ourselves on the executive board, and then try and get those committees up and running so we can at the very least meet virtually, and then go from there and beg and solicit anyone who wants to take over from that point. So that is a fantastic question, and we do apologize, or I apologize on behalf of the board that that hasn't been up and running yet, because we know it's been a really long time since signed up to volunteer your time. Any other questions? Yes.
Is there gonna be a talent show this year? 'Cause
Talent show. Last I heard, there should be a talent show. However, I need to follow up with Mr. Cunningham to know for sure. Once upon a time when we talked about it earlier in the year, there were gonna be auditions in January for a talent show in February, but I haven't discussed it with him since then, and I haven't seen it on the calendar either. So I will follow up, and then I'll post the information to the listserv. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you so much for coming today.